How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of UFC Predictions. Today we're talking UFC 298 live from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. We have the main event of Alexander Volkanovski going back down to featherweight to defend his title against top undefeated ranked contender Ilia Topuria, and my god, what a card this is going to be. So many people are too busy talking about the Miami card, the Drickus and Strickland card that we saw last time out. I feel like this card has gone way too under the radar. There's so many big names: Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa, Jeff Neal, the Cuck, Henry Cejudo, Merab Dvalishvili. A lot of big names on this card. There's a lot of very big names on this card. But yeah, I'll just give you guys the heads up. I am just getting over a pretty nasty cold right now, so if I do sound a bit off or, you know, have to take a break every so often, just bear with me. I'm gonna keep recording this as best I can, but without further ado, let's get into the first fight. You know how we do it here on the channel. For every UFC pay-per-view card, we go through the top 5. We go through every single fight on the pay-per-view, 5 through 1. I'm still thinking about how I'm going to have to do it for UFC 300. I'm going to have to go through like 20 fights, man. Jesus. But anyway, UFC 298 pay-per-view predictions. Let's go. So the first fight we have on deck is Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. This should be a very interesting fight. Both fighters are guys with very similar records. I mean, Kopylov, he definitely has a lot more knockouts to his name. 92% of his wins are by KO, TKO. Anthony Hernandez definitely seems to be more the grappler, which, I mean, you wouldn't expect that. I mean, you'd expect the guy from Dagestan, of all places, to be the better grappler, but Anthony Hernandez, he seems like a bit of a stud. He seems like he could get the job done. 64 of his wins come by sub, 18 by KO, TKO, and 18% by decision. Both guys have very similar records. One's 12-2, the other one's 11-2. Both guys are very similar when it comes to the record department, so this really comes to who can keep it in which area. I mean, if Kopylov can keep it on the feet, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt. He is taking this fight on short notice too, because Anthony Hernandez was supposed to fight Islam Iskarov, if I'm not mistaken, so shout out to Kopylov, short notice. Anyone who takes a short notice fight, much respect to them. I know what it's like. I've been through that myself. Not fun. But Anthony Hernandez, yeah, if he can keep it on the ground, man, I think he's got a good shot at winning this thing, especially where his opponent's taking on short notice. He can use his grappling cardio to his advantage. I think I don't know. Who should I take on this fight? My gut's telling me Anthony Hernandez, so I'm going to go with Anthony Hernandez. I say he gets it done by a third-round sub. I mean, I'm sure Kopylov's one of those guys who just stays in the gym and works hard every single day, like every other Dagestani fighter does, but I'll take Anthony Hernandez to get a third-round sub. Next up on the card, another exciting fight at bantamweight. We have Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. Oh, snap. What a fight this is. Both guys are really similar to another, very strong on the feet. Both are great in wrestling. Both guys are really great athletes. I can see this fight being like extremely similar. And the cool dynamic, like the strange dynamic about this one is Merab really was Sterling's main training partner for when Aljo fought Cejudo last May, and yeah, now Sterling is trying to show Merab what he felt against Cejudo back when they fought. So it's like, I mean, every single advantage is really looking to Merab Dvalishvili's point here. I mean, activity, recent experience against the top guys. I mean, Cejudo's last fight he only has one fight in 4 years, and that was a loss to Aljamain Sterling. Bear in mind, that was a close fight. It could have went either way, but I do think Aljamain Sterling won that fight. I think if Aljamain would have put a little bit more on the gas, I think he would have won that fight 4 rounds to 1, personally, if he just would have stepped on the gas a little bit more. But I think Henry Personally, I think he needs a bit more time to get adjusted back into the swing of things. I mean, 3 years out of the octagon. I mean, I know he was training people that whole time, but it isn't the same as training yourself, man. So, I really do hope Cejudo can get back to his old self in a way, but in my opinion, I don't even think Henry Cejudo should have came back to the octagon. I know there's always that burning itch with someone who's as talented and gifted as Henry Cejudo is. Did you know he's an Olympic gold medalist? But, yeah, Henry Cejudo, man. I really wish him the best in this fight, I really do, but God, he's up against a tough test in Merab. Like, you see what Merab does to his opponents, like, he does them nasty. Like, you see what he did to Petr Yan? My God, man, he made Petr Yan look like his bitch. It was embarrassing. Oh my God, but, in this fight, I have to take Merab. I really do. I think experience is gonna help Cejudo get through this fight, but inactivity is going to help Merab win this fight. And I'm gonna say Merab wins by... Let's go with a decision. I can see this fight I think this fight's definitely going to see the final bell. Merab actually has arm reach and leg reach on Cejudo, plus 2 inches in height, so even the physical gifts are in Merab's favor in this one, so... Plus, Henry's got that whole thing about firing his coach. I can't believe he fired his coach on countdown, man. That is crazy to me. That is crazy, bro. And then, I don't know if you've seen some of the videos of Merab. He's like, yeah, I got Henry's coach. I love my coach. I was like, oh my God. If you don't follow Merab Dvalishvili on Instagram, man, it is well worth the follow. But I'm going to take Merab by decision in this one. Well, talk about some bad blood. Next up on the pay-per-view, Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. Oh boy, these two do not like one another. I mean, looking at this fight on paper, I think this is by far Ian Gary's toughest fight. I think this is a tougher fight than Luque for Ian Gary. And I remember back at when I was recording the 296 predictions, this was before the press conference and before Ian Gary got pneumonia or whatever. That's kind of what I got right now, but I was only out of it for 1 day. I couldn't even move for that 1 day. But I mean, I've been a lot less harsh on Ian Gary than others have, to say the least. But I think Ian Gary, he's a really skilled fighter. He really is, and I don't think anybody can take that away from him. Some of his skills in the striking department are second to none. They really are. The way I feel like his footwork is what really sets him apart. The way he can lean back and pivot off for shots, I feel like that really sets him apart from other welterweights in the division. But shit, they don't call Jeff Neal hands of steel for nothing. And Ian Gary has shown if he gets cracked, he can go down. So I feel like if Jeff Neal can set up his shots, I really do think he's going to take the O off Ian Gary's record. Because that Jeff Neal gives Shavkat Rakhmonov problems. That dude is a monster. Like, if you can cause Shavkat Rakhmonov problems, I think you can beat Ian Gary. I think you can do that, but I mean, it's all really it comes down to 2 factors for me, because I don't see this fight going to the ground. I mean, maybe, but Jeff Neal, he's really got to keep it close, he's almost got to make it a dirty boxing fight, in my opinion. He's almost got to make it a dirty boxing fight. Maybe keep a tie clinch, but man, it's hard for me to not pick Jeff Neal in this fight. I really do think he has the kind of power and the striking skill set to find that chin of Ian Gary's, and that chin of Ian Gary's is not as strong as you'd want someone who's undefeated to be. I'm gonna take Jeff Neal in this fight. Hopefully, it's a good fight. Hopefully, Ian Gary's chin holds the distance and these two can settle it in the cage. But I think Jeff Neal gets a KO in the 2nd round. And the MMA world will be Jeff Neal fans forever. Co-main event time. One Aussie supports another, I guess. Robert Whittaker co-headlines UFC 298 alongside his opponent, Paulo Borrachina Costa. Oh, I'm actually pumped to see Paulo Costa back. I don't even think I've recorded one of these prediction videos with Paulo Costa in it. That blows my mind. Because, I mean, Paulo Costa is someone I've been watching for a really long time. I believe the first fight I watched of Paulo Costa was when he fought Johnny Hendricks way back in the day. And you just knew Paulo Costa was a force to be reckoned with. Someone who's that big and can move that well and can hit that hard. It honestly amazes me that Izzy made it look as easy as he did against Paulo Costa, but I think that fight still has some long-term effects on Paulo Costa, because you've seen what happened against Vittori for Paulo, and I mean, he had that bounce back fight against Luke Rockhold, but even still, Costa did not look great in that fight, in my opinion. So this fight could be a huge path for how the rest of Paulo Costa's career goes. This could be a make-or-break fight for Paulo Costa, in my opinion. And there's one person I wouldn't want to have a make-or-break fight against in the middleweight division. Well, there's a few people, to be honest, but one of them is Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker is an absolute stud, man. And I mean, think about how stacked middleweight is getting these days. You got Dricus as the champ, you got Sean Strickland, you got Khamzat Chimaev, you got Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. Vittori's still there. Like, this division is stacked, dude. This division is stacked. It is nuts. It's actually nuts how stacked this division is now. But and the star power that some of these guys are bringing too is absolutely nuts. But for this fight right here, I mean, what's the physical comparisons between Costa and Whittaker? So Costa only has like 1 inch in height on Whittaker. That kind of surprises me, to be honest. Like, looking at these two guys on paper, Costa looks like Hercules compared to Whittaker. Like, all I can think of looking at this fight is seeing like Paulo Costa walk out at like some male modeling competition where, I don't know if everybody knows the picture that I'm thinking of, but there's that picture of like Robert Whittaker on a pool noodle. He's wearing like the goggles or whatever. If you know what I mean, type it in the comments below or like the video. But yeah, no. Man, Paulo's just, the way he's looked recently, maybe he's a changed man since coming back, or having a long-term layoff like he has, but it's hard not for me to take Robert Whittaker in this fight. I just think Whittaker's going to be too good for Paulo Costa. Striking, grappling, I think Robert Whittaker's got it all. Maybe Paulo Costa will be stronger in the clinch exchanges, and it'll be harder to get off of him, like if Paulo's on top, if Whittaker takes him down and Paulo finds a way to get on top. But I think Whittaker's the better striker and grappler, so give me Robert Whittaker in this fight, man. He's even got a longer reach too. That's crazy to me. Robert Whittaker has a longer reach than Costa? That's crazy. That is actually crazy to me. But on to the main event. And in our main event, my God, what a scrap we got on hand. Alexander the Great Volkanovski takes on Ilia Topuria. This is what you call a legacy fight. This is what you call a legacy fight. The way Topuria has just ran through contenders on his come up is bar none impressive. He made Josh Emmett look like an amateur. He made Josh Emmett look like an amateur when they fought, man. But, I mean, I know Rodriguez stopped him, but like Topuria made Josh Emmett, he just continued to embarrass him. It's like he intentionally didn't finish him, just so he could make him look embarrassing. And, I can't remember, who was it he knocked out in England? When he had that, like, was it like the jab to the body and that overhand right, where Buddy just like fell to the ground? Like, that knockout was cracked. That was an absolutely insane knockout. Topuria is one of those. He's one of those real mother effers, if you know what I mean. Like, he doesn't care. Like even his girlfriend's famous quote is like, if one guy's gotta die, it's not gonna be my guy. Like, damn. Like, that's a quote right there. Like, if your girl believes in you that much, you're doing something right. But Alex Volkanovski is no easy pushover. Unless you're Islam Makhachev, when Volkanovski fights on 10 days' notice. Volkanovski just got bored of drinking beers all the time and hanging out by the pool after surgery. Volkanovski goes insane without fighting, man. Someone's got to keep this man entertained, but I guess retirement's not too far away. By the way, I don't know if who all has seen it here, but if you haven't watched Volkanovski's little skit with like some sports betting company in Australia about how the over 35 curse or whatever, please go watch that. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I just love how he's like, oh, shoes off, shoes off. He's like, yeah, none of yous will leave without my pasta sauce. You're all too skinny. I just love how he's on the little typewriter. Dear Scallywag. Oh my god, I gotta drink some water, man. My throat's getting too itchy, so I had to drink some water there. But yeah, man, unless your name's Islam Makhachev, it's pretty hard to get through Alexander Volkanovski, I'll say that much. I mean, the closest we ever seen anybody do it was Max Holloway in their second fight, and in my opinion, Holloway won that fight, but judges gave it to Volkanovski, so fair, I respect it. I always remember, I always really liked Volk when he was coming up through the ranks, but, excuse me, but if you guys know me, my favorite fighter has always been Max Holloway, and once I came to the conclusion, I was like, Volk's gonna have to fight Max Holloway. I was like, oh, for Christ's sake. I mean, of course I'm rooting for Max, but it's like, I wouldn't be mad if Volkanovski wins, but here we are. Volkanovski beat Holloway, and now Volkanovski's on a complete tear. He's beaten the likes of Yair Rodriguez, Brian Ortega, Holloway 3 times. Like, what more can you say about Alex Volkanovski, man? If only he got that first fight against Islam. If only he got that. If only he got that. But let's look at these fight on paper real quick. So Ilia he's 1 inch taller than Volkanovski. Volkanovski has 2.5 inches in reach, and Volkanovski has a 1 inch leg reach advantage. What else do we have here? So 52% of the time Volkanovski wins by KO TKO compared to Ilia's 31. Volkanovski's won by sub 12% of the time versus Ilia's 62%. That's one thing I mentioned. I learned a lot about Ilia's grappling on Countdown. He is a very smooth grappler. If I was Volkanovski, I would not want to go to the ground with this guy. But then again, the way Volkanovski got out of Brian Ortega's, what was it, a triangle? I can't remember it correctly, but my god, I don't know how he escaped that. And 36% of the time, Volk wins by decision compared to Ilias 8. Who do I think's gonna win this fight? I definitely see this fight going to the final bell. I think this is gonna be a 5-round slugfest for the ages. I don't see any quit in either fighter. But here, going back to the Whittaker-Costa fight real quick, I see quit in Paulo Costa, I don't see any quit in Robert Whittaker. That's part of the reason why I'm taking Robert Whittaker. But if I had to pick one man to win this fight, I can't doubt the great man, Alex Volkanovski. He's the GOAT. He really is. I think if he beats this fight if he beats Ilia Topuria, I think it firmly cements his status as the featherweight GOAT. No questions asked, I think Volkanovski's the featherweight GOAT if he beats Ilia Topuria. And I think he will. I think Volkanovski defeats Ilia Topuria by a split decision in Anaheim. I do think this is going to be a really close fight, a lot of close rounds, but I can see Volkanovski really putting it on Topuria in the later rounds. I think the championship heart of Volkanovski and the resilience of the great man, I think Alex Volkanovski's gonna get it done. I think he'll get the decision, but my God, this fight has great fight written all over it. And there you have it, guys. Those are my picks and predictions for UFC 298, Volkanovski versus Topuria. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. Leave a comment down below telling me what you thought of this episode and why. And, excuse me. Until next time, guys, I will see you for the next video. If you just watch UFC content, I will see you for, when will I see you next? UFC 299, O'Malley versus Vera, rematch, Cheeto and O'Malley, live from Miami. Let me say that, there's no better city for Sean O'Malley to fight in than Miami. That place just absolutely suits him. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, enjoy these fights, man. Take care, and peace.